in previous lecture 3, I mean the session 3, not in fact lecture 3, you can recall this derivation where we try to see the first order condition of the optimal consumption, and we make the first order condition, and in addition to that we try to show you that based on this optimal based on this first order condition equation, we can come up with the optimal consumption in current period and optimal consumption in future period, and we can also see the relationship between the optimal current consumption and optimal future consumption. This is the relationship. You will also see that in today's session we will try to use this first order condition. Okay, but what is the purpose of opening this previous sessions recording in the very beginning? That is mistakenly I didn't write the 1 by gamma as a power with this 1 plus r divided by 1 plus b. Okay, the thing is like that. Here if you see, as we have multiplied both side power by 1 by gamma to take out the gamma. Okay, so what happened? Gamma disappeared from here, gamma disappeared from here, but with the 1 plus r, 1 plus beta, 1 plus gamma should come here, as there is no gamma here. So when we are giving power of 1 by gamma on in both side, we need to insert this as a power to the 1 plus r divided by 1 plus b. So C naught will be here and C1 will be here. So what I try to request you to make this correction to add 1 by gamma as a power to this term 1 plus r divided by 1 plus beta. Okay, so in final line we try to show you that future period consumption can be written in this way, that it is alpha, that means this whole term. It's just for our notation purpose. I'm thinking of whole of this whole term as alpha, and alpha to the power C naught. So you can think of how the future consumption is related to the current consumption. You can also think of if future consumption is greater than the current consumption, this alpha must represent something kind of growth rate, or how the current consumption will grow to the future consumption. So note this correction on the for the session 3. So I think you have got it, the correction what I just have shown to you. Okay, so in today's session we will try to see some problems related to the topic on which we made some discussion or have class. We had class in lecture 2 and the session 3, session 2 and 3. Okay, so our idea was to discuss with the decision which will give me, or which will help me to think of the optimal consumption, optimal investment, optimal savings, or optimal borrowing. I mean the optimum amount of these things. Okay, so let me open the problem page. I think this document is already available with you. So first question is involved with asking some statements, and you have to prove whether the statements are rightly stated or wrongly stated, so that you can identify the true or false. Okay, so based on this diagram, so what is the question? The following diagram shows a given investor's income in 2 periods and the corresponding consumption opportunity set without solid line and with dashed line, an investment project that is available to the investor. So the solid line is the line without the project, and the dashed line is the line with the project. And you see the indifference curve, and you also see the consumption opportunity set. One is without the project, and the one is with the project. And in horizontal axis, we are representing consumption in current period, and in vertical axis, we are representing consumption in next period or future period. So if you have attended the previous sessions, and in that case, you must be familiar with this kind of diagram on which we have made discussion. Okay, first of all, without the investment project, the investor would most likely not borrow today, but part of their income on deposit to increase future consumption. Okay. So can anyone respond what does he or she think on this? Then I can share my opinion about this first statement. Anyone?
Sir, I think he can borrow. Sorry, he can save his money, rather borrow for his future consumption.
Okay. Okay. Can you provide evidence against your argument?
Yes, sir.
In support of your argument? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, income with project shows the point, and if income without the point which shows 30 income today, as the point is here, income with project, income without indifference line intersection with the consumption line is was also 30 when income without project. That means his income should be his optimum income should be 30 in current period, but his optimum he is consuming at 70. That means he is consuming 40 more. So he should borrow. He should save his money for his future income, future consumption.
Okay, thank you. But partial, I can take partial a portion of your statement correct. But let me share my thinking. That is kind of you see the indifference curve with the project, right? Indifference curve with the project you see here. So you can also think of what would be the indifference curve if the situation is without the project. If the situation is without the project, you see the statement is without the investment project, right? Without the investment project. That means we have to discuss based on this. We have to discuss based on this line. We cannot go to this line. Okay, and the line which is with the project. Okay, but you can take help from the income with the project or consumption opportunity set with that consumption opportunity set with the project. You can take this line to expect something about what is happening in the current line. Okay, if you are familiar with the concepts of indifference curve, you can expect that you can draw another indifference curve in this way. I mean, I do. Okay. I don't know whether I can draw here. Okay. Okay, let me draw here. Oh. Okay. If you have the indifference curve here, I apologize for my poor drawing. Okay, so if the indifference curve is here, you can easily expect that without the project, the current indifference curve should lie in this position according to the law of indifference curve. Can anyone agree or disagree with this? That can we draw the indifference curve in this way, or indifference curve should be different from this? If we have the indifference curve with the project on this line in this way, we just want to know that what would be the indifference curve if it is without the project. Okay, that would be kind of north, that would be kind of on the left of this left of the line, left of the indifference curve, which is already available here on the with the project line. Okay, so in that case, think of the indifference curve has been drawn this way. In that case, you can think of the optimal consumption is here, for example. Okay, if we just draw another indifference curve. Now, if it is optimal, and your income level is here, the current income and the future income is here, represented by this point. Okay, but if it is the optimal point, okay, and what you need to do to go from this point to this point, you can make savings, or you need to make borrowing. So it implies that as the income is here, current income is this length. Okay, if your optimal consumption is here, you would need to borrow, but as you are consuming on the northwest point like this, from this income point here, in that case you are not consuming this amount of income. Approximately, you are not consuming this amount of income, as your optimal point is here. Okay, so in that case you are not borrowing, rather you are making savings to make your future consumption higher. Okay, have you got it?
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
স্যার স্যার প্রশ্নটা হচ্ছে যে ওর উইথ ইনকাম হচ্ছে উইথ প্রজেক্ট হচ্ছে 30 কারেন্ট ইনকাম স্যার, তার মানে তার আজকে যে ইন্ডিফারেন্স কার্ভ সেটা 30 তে ইন্টারসেক্ট করার কথা না, মানে টুডে, মানে আপনি তো দেখাচ্ছেন যেটা সেটা প্রবাবলি 40 শো করছে কারেন্ট কনজাম্পশন, এটা আরেকটু আপওয়ার্ড হওয়ার কথা ছিল না?
It is the income point.
Yes,
it is
sir.
the income point, it is the consumption point. Okay,
Okay, sir.
you see, consumption, we make consumption after making savings. Okay, so when we are talking about indifference curve, we are representing the consumption, right, or
Yes,
income?
sir. Consumption, sir.
Okay, okay. Next one, the investor can borrow at a risk-free interest rate of approximately 5% and also earns 5% interest on the risk-free deposit or savings. Okay, so I think it is very much evident from the diagram. If you understand how vertical and horizontal line are connected, lines are connected by this consumption opportunity set. Okay, so by this consumption opportunity set line, you see the horizontal distance is 100 and the vertical distance is approximately 105. So you can think of how the future consumption grows with respect to the current consumption. Okay, so in that case you must get the 5%, That's why you can expect the risk-free interest rate is here, 5%. Have you got it? You see the, you can measure the slope of the line. You will also get the 5%. But if you look at the vertical distance and the horizontal distance, you can measure the rate of growth is 5%. Okay.
Sir, can I say the slope of the line is the risk-free rate?
Yeah. If you recall the lecture, you can probably recall an equation where we represent the slope of this line in two forms. One is in relation to the you can recall minus multiplied by 1 plus r. Okay, so that is actually representing the risk-free rate. Okay, you can recognize that of which line we are talking about. Okay, can you recall this line and this equation, the equation on the right portion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is the risk-free rate. So actually our slope is representing the risk-free rate. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. To undertake the investment project and implement the optimal consumption plan, the investor would have to borrow 40,000 today. Is there anyone who wants to say something on this? No one? Okay. You see, without the project, how much current income we have? 70,000. We have current income of 70,000. But with the project, we will have current income of how much? 30,000. In that case, you can recognize that this project, of which it has been mentioned that there is a project, it requires investment of 40,000. That's why the amount of consumption which is available without the project, which is 70,000. Sorry, the income which is without the project 70,000. Now it reduces to 30,000 in current period after taking the project. In that case, you can recognize that the project requires outflow of how much? The project requires outflow of approximately, not approximately, precisely the project requires 40,000. Okay. So you are providing this 40,000 from your income, for example. Okay. But you see, with the project, you want to make consumption here. here. As I can't draw the on the PDF line, I'm not using the zoom annotation. Yeah, you can recognize that where I'm representing. Okay, so with the project you want to consume in this point, I mean the current consumption you want to make here. Okay, but available income you have after investing in the project, available income in which period? In the current period. Available income to fund the current consumption in current year after taking out the project, you have only 30,000, right? But you want to make consumption in 55. You want to make consumption here in the indifference curve optimal. Okay, in that case, what is the difference between 55 to 30?
25, sir.
25,000. Does it mean that you need borrowing of the balance which you don't have to meet up this consumption? To meet up this consumption, you need to borrow the amount between 55,000 and the 30,000. 30,000 is the amount of income you have after taking the project. Of which period income? Current period income. But in current period income, in current period, you want to make consumption in which point? You want to make consumption in 55,000. So you have 25,000 taka short, okay, or 25,000 pound short. In that case, you need to borrow this amount. Okay. Next one. The net present value of the project is approximately 10,000. Since this is clearly positive, the investor will undertake the project. So from your financial management and the capital investment decision project, you know how to get the net present value estimation. But in net present value, it's not a finance concept, or NPV is not a finance term. Remember, it comes from the economics. Okay, it comes from the economics of economic decision making about the consumption and the investment. Okay, so conceptually, NPV represents the difference between the present consumption without the project and the present consumption with the project. Okay, so if you think of the if you think of the consumption today maximum, without having any future consumption, how much consumption you can make today? 100, right? With the zero future consumption, how much current consumption you can make? 100. And what about the with the project? That is the 110. Now, if you want to get the difference between this 110 and this 100, you get the difference of 10. That means by taking the project, you can increase your current consumption by how much? You can increase your current consumption by 10,000. So that is the NPV which is yielding, which has been yielded by the project you want to undertake. Okay. So let's move on to the
Sir,
yeah.
Sir, C number question. স্যার এখানে হচ্ছে ফার্স্টে সে 40,000 টাকা সেভ করবে, ডিপোজিট রাখবে, এন্ড দেন আবার 25,000 টাকা সে লেন্ড বড় করবে স্যার। তার মানে সে আলটিমেটলি 15,000 টাকা লেন্ড সেভ করলেই তো হয় স্যার।
Okay, the thing is that we have talked about the investment first. That means out of the income we have made the allocation for the project. Now we see the income available is less than the amount of consumption we need to make. So if it is such that, how can we make savings? in the current period. The project will be taken in current period. Have you got it?
Sir, আবার বলতে
After making the allocation for the project in the current period from the income of today, I mean income of today 70,000 without the project, and after
Yes, sir.
allocating the amount for taking the project, that is 40,000, we have available income of 30,000, right, with the
Yes, sir.
project. Okay,
Yes, sir.
for current period.
Yes, sir.
Don't get confused with the period. We are talking about the current period. Okay. Now in current period, we like to make consumption of this amount 55,000. And in future period, we like to make consumption close to 60,000 if the consumption, optimal consumption is here. So if you have remaining only 30,000 after undertaking the project, how can you reach to this optimal consumption level? By should not you make borrowing?
Yes, sir. বড় করতে হবে।
You don't have the available income to make savings here. Okay.
না, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Now question 2, that is related to the application of the first order condition, what we derived in previous session. The thing is that think the purpose very carefully so that you will not confused that what you are doing in this session. Okay. So what we are doing in this session, we are trying to figure out what shall be the optimal consumption, optimal savings decision. What is the purpose of making this decision? Just to give you a real life example to relate it, what is the necessity of having this discussion or understanding this economic estimation. Okay. During the period of 2009 and 10 financial stock market debacle in Bangladesh, okay, you probably can recall, or if you look at the newspaper, you can probably recall that many families have sold out their properties to invest in the stock market, and many people also have reduced their consumption in current period and also expected consumption for future period only to make investment in the stock market. So when the bubble bursted, they come up with a very few amount of wealth, or they lost their wealth, and they couldn't, many of the people couldn't make any expected wealth they expected to achieve from their investment. And at the same time, they also failed to meet up their consumption demand. So from your investment analysis course from the previous year, you probably can recall there is a rule of thumb that keep 3 months family need expenses required to meet up your family needs first, and make the remaining amount of income as investment, or invest the remaining amount. Or sometimes it is said that when the condition is not good enough, or the economic condition is not good enough, make savings of 6 months family expenses, then invest the remaining amount. Okay. So what is the problem with this kind of decision when we don't think of our consumption and the investment simultaneously? The problem is that you will come up with some payoff which are not enough to meet up your consumption. Okay. So you can easily expect when you cannot meet up your consumption, what would happen in your life. Okay. So it is always good. It is always a necessary decision to decide about the optimal consumption and the optimal amount of savings and investment or borrowing. Okay. And from the Fisher separation theorem, and also from the preliminaries of capital investment decision, you probably have come up with the idea that the investment decision and the financing decision should be taken separately. The investment decision should not be influenced by the financing decision, so that you can take the optimal project even by the mean of borrowed money. Okay, so that is the some background of having this kind of discussion or discussing with this problem. Okay, so in question 2, you see Mr. Goodhart will receive 100,000 pound income both this and the next year. Okay, currently this is the only source of income for the family. The Goodharts can borrow and lend at a risk-free interest rate of 5%. Their preference over intertemporal consumption are given by the utility function U log C naught plus log C1. Okay, so you just see the different representation of utility function. Utility function we saw differently in session. Here the utility function is slightly different. Here we are representing the utility from consumption in terms of log number or log term, and you are familiar with what does log mean, or if we convert a number to log, what will happen. And just for interest, what can you do? You can think of some consumption amount for kind of increasing in a increasing trend, say 10, 15, 20, 25 in this way, and you can apply the log. You will see whether the decreasing utility from consumption applies there. Okay, or the decreasing marginal utility from consumption actually applies there when you convert or when you represent your utility function in terms of log. Okay, just think of the consumption in some nominal numbers and convert those nominal numbers in log, but think of the nominal consumption level in terms of some nominal numbers, and when you see, you can easily expect what is the purpose of representing the utility from consumption in terms of log. Okay, so first of all, what is the first question? What is the maximum current consumption the family can afford? Okay, so let me write the question here. Okay, so in both period, the Mr. Goodhart has income of 100,000. So you can expect that maximum consumption he can afford should be the total income in current period, and maximum amount of borrowing he can make by showing the future income to the lender, that I have the 100,000 taka income to be happened in future. So what can you do? You can give me lending of how much? 100,000 divided by 1 plus risk-free rate. It is the present value of the future income. So this amount of maximum consumption Mr. Goodhart can make. So it is nothing new. We have solved this kind of equation in our session. Okay, in our lecture session. It is just nothing. Maximum consumption you can make today is a kind of this thing. Can you recall this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So second one, what is the Goodhart's optimal consumption in both years? How much would they have to borrow or save? What can anything can happen, either borrowing or saving, to achieve this plan. Okay, so to get the optimal consumption, you can recognize that we have to go to the first order condition of the utility function. So you can recognize that we came up with first order condition equation in this way, like we wrote that you can write the u prime c naught plus 1 plus r divided by 1 plus beta u prime c1. This is nothing. This is the just first order condition of what? The utility function. Okay, general utility function. We showed it how to derive this in lecture. In today's session, we will try to just apply this. Okay, first of all, look at the problem. If you have the question open before open in your device, as I have to write it down, it's time consuming to open this and open this. Okay, so you see that there is no measure of beta. That means how how Mr. Goodhart does feel about the current and future consumption. Whether you can recall that the beta reflects the impatience parameter. Can you recall? We talked about it. Beta represents the impatience parameter. Okay. So we have no information about the beta or impatience parameter. That's why we can assume that beta is equal to 0. Okay, we can assume that beta is equal to 0. And we have been said that risk-free rate is 5%. Okay. So from the utility function in this way, log normal C0 plus log normal C1 is the simplest form. Okay. So can anyone tell me what will happen if we make the first derivative of log C0? This is actually utility of current consumption and utility of future consumption. It is representing the utility. Okay, as there is no time separable utility, we have not the beta. Okay, can anyone tell me what will happen if we make first derivative of log normal of something of or you can say what will happen to log normal of x? What will be the first derivative? You're taking much time. I don't have much time for today's session. Okay, 1 by C0. Or for this, you can write 1 by C1. If you can't recall, you can review what you have learned in the derivative class. Okay, derivative means the calculus class, not the financial derivatives class. I think you are not getting the financial derivatives course in this semester.
No, sir.
Yeah, it has been withdrawn for the reason that most of the out of your 5 courses, 4 courses will be purely mathematical and 1 course will be qualitative, conceptual. So that's why for making a balance in this pandemic time, there was changes in the curriculum. That's why you probably have been offered the finance and development, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me write it for you. You see that if we write the minus here and we have got that u prime of C0 or log normal of C0, in our case, it's 1 by C0. Okay. So we have got what is the u prime of C0 in our case. Okay. That means the utility of current consumption is here. We are getting what is it? It is the u prime, or you can think of the first derivative, right? Okay, so you're just writing here 1 by C0. We are just replacing here. Okay, then 1 plus r. You just have recognized that beta is not present here. That's why we are thinking of 0 here. Okay, similarly for this, what can we write here? 1 by C0. Okay, So from this, what can you summarize by making some rearranging? You will get C1 is like this, C naught into 1 plus R by making some rearranging. Okay. So you probably can recall our favorite consumption equation for future period and the consumption equation for current period. If you don't, okay, let me write it down for you so that you can recall it immediately. Okay. Future period consumption is future period income plus amount of savings delta what you have made in previous year. It has been grown to how many, how much? It has been grown at a rate of risk-free rate. The amount of savings you made in previous year multiplied by the rate of risk-free interest rate, a rate of risk-free rate you have been able to achieve. I'm just replacing this, okay, in terms of income. Okay. Now, can you recall what happened to what we got for C naught in terms of income and savings? Can you recall this one? 1 plus R. Okay. Now, don't forget the question. We are right now in the question B. We are trying to find out the optimal consumption. We are trying to find out the optimal borrowing or savings. Okay, in terms of income, in terms of the information given in the question. Okay. You see, if we take the 1 plus R on the left side, can we write y1 divided by 1 plus R plus delta into y, sorry, equal to y naught minus delta. Can you write this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we are just transferring the income component in one side and the savings component in another side. So it should be minus 2 delta. So if we, for simplicity, if we take is this all right up to this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if we take minus 1 here, just for representing in good format. Is it same? Is it same?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then, okay. Can we write in this way?
Yes, sir.
The same thing?
Yes, sir.
Can you agree with me that this amount of savings delta or this amount of borrowing, whatever it is, okay, it is the optimal amount of savings or borrowing we need to make to get the optimal consumption in both period? Because we have come up with this savings equation from which condition? From the first order condition, okay? And from your calculus, you probably have got that in the tangency point, how can we reach using the mathematical notation? How can we reach to the mathematical notation? Don't forget, we are trying to reach in this point in terms of graphical. We are trying to reach here, right? We are trying to come up that how much amount of savings we need to make, or how much amount of borrowing we need to make to get this amount of consumption. Okay, so graphically that is that term. Okay, so you have got the optimal amount of savings derivation, and then we will look at the optimal consumption from this equation. Okay, you probably can you can recall that current consumption can be written as current income minus delta. Okay, now is it possible that if you write the delta, optimal delta, what we have got here, right? If we write this here, we get the optimal consumption for current period. You have nothing to do with the income, but you have come up with the optimal savings by this derivation, right? If you write the optimal savings here, the amount of consumption you will come up here is not the optimal amount of current consumption. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you will do this, you will come up with this kind of final line. Okay, so let me apply some, or you can do this by yourself also, by some numbers to get the insight, real insight. Let's see. Now consider the, so we have come up with the answer for question B. Now consider the following investment opportunity. The family would pay an amount of 80,000. It is for the project. The currently you have to make how much? 70,000. Sorry, 80,000. And you will receive a certain, you can think of this certain. Okay, why it is certain? Can we recall that in the lecture 2, that means for which we have spent session 2 and session 3, we emphasized that the situation is certainty, making decision in certainty. That means in you are just thinking of the intertemporal allocation. But in the following chapter, when we talked about something, probability, risk, the axioms, in that chapter, we talked about risk, we talked about uncertainty. But before that, we assume that there is no uncertainty. Okay, so receive a certain, that's why it is worthwhile to consider the risk-free rate. Okay, otherwise we need to go to the risky discount rate. Okay, certain amount, how much? 85,000 taka next year. Okay, so you can immediately recognize how can we come up with the NPV of this opportunity. That is very simple calculation. So I don't want to underestimate you by showing this calculation. Okay, number D. Once the project has been accepted, what is the optimal consumption plan? What is the optimal investment in financial asset? Okay, so from our discussion in the previous graph, can you recall that if we make investment, our available income will go down in the current period, and available income, I mean the residual income after making allocation for the project in the current period will go down. And what happened to the future income? Future income will go up with what? With the payoff from the project. Okay, so let me write, I'm coming to the board. Okay, the issue is that we need to find out what would happen to the optimal consumption in current period and optimal consumption in future period if the project is undertaken. But before going to there, I'm just highlighting one issue, that what you need to do, you have got the, sorry, okay, optimal savings in terms of the income which is presented in the information. You have got the answer, optimal savings. You have also got the optimal consumption for the current period, okay, in terms of the information given in the question, okay. But when we have written C1 in terms of C naught into 1 plus R, you can recognize that 1 plus R is available in the question, but C naught is not available in the question, okay. So what can you do to make this answer in terms of the information given in the question? Just replace the C naught by the C naught you have got here. So that means when you have written the C naught in terms of income and the risk-free rate here, you are actually representing the C naught in terms of the information presented in the question. This is the common thing what we usually do when we solve the mathematical problem. We need to express the answer in terms of the information given in the question if the numerical values are not given, right? Okay. Number D. If we think of the income available after allocating for the project, what was the current income? 100,000. How much project, how much investment is required by the project?
80,000.
80,000. In that case, how much residual income remaining for the current period after allocating for the project we are proposing to undertake? As the NPV is positive, that's why you are undertaking the project. Okay. Okay. Now, what will happen to the future period income? Can you expect that it will go up by the payoff from the project, 85,000? In that case, what will happen to the available income for future period after considering the project payoff and the project investment? 185,000. Up to this, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the question is, what happened to the optimal consumption? What happened to the optimal consumption if the thing is like that? Okay. So here, what you need to do, you just need to, you see the C naught here. Okay. What will happen to the current optimal current consumption? It will be half. Then what is, why not here? After allocating for the project, 20,000. And what will happen to the future residual income? Sorry, no, future income after taking payoff from the project, that will be 185,000 divided by what will happen? 1 plus R. Do we have the R number?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you'll get a number that will be, if you use your calculator, you will get this kind of amount. I'm sorry. So is it possible to come up with the future optimal consumption and also to the savings or borrowing number if you have the this information? Is it possible?
Hello.
Is
Yes,
it
sir.
possible to for you to get these numbers?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So if you look at the last problem, repeat the above calculation assuming that the family earns 100,000 this year. That means it is same as the previous, as the Mr. Goodhart is expecting to earn 100,000 in this year. So there is no change here. But in future, next year, he is expecting to have only 40,000. Okay. So what you need to do, in that case, if the repeat the above calculation, that means you have to consider with the project. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to check that this will remain same. Which one? The residual income for current period. But in future period, what is happening? This 100,000 will not be there, only 40,000 future period income. Okay, then if you add the payoff from the project, what will happen? 125,000, is it? It will be same as before, the current period income, 20,000. Now, if you use this information to this equation, cannot you get the changed number for C naught? I mean the for current period optimal consumption and the future period optimal consumption. Is it possible for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, in that case, you will get C naught equal to 69,524, and you will get future period optimal consumption is 73,000. Okay, so here I'm just for giving you an explanation of about the consumption smoothing. Okay, you will get this number for future period consumption. Compare these two numbers and these two numbers. Okay, which two numbers are more closer in this situation or in this situation? I mean the range is narrow. In which case?
Sir, in second case.
In second case. So can you expect that if the second case happens, if the second scenario happens, Mr. Goodhart will have more consumption smoothing? I mean, he will have less fluctuation between the current consumption and the future consumption. Not no fluctuation, I'm saying, I mean less fluctuation. So usually people expect what? People expect that they will try to consume in a similar way when they are in the income and when they are not in the income or they are in the period of retirement. Okay, they want to smooth their consumption, but it depends based on the individual preferences. Okay, so we have short time available. I'm taking 10 minutes extra just for showing you how to come up with the question 3, how to come up with some plausible solution for question 3. Okay, suppose an individual has income Y0 and Y1 in the current and the next period respectively. Suppose the individual's preferences over consumption in the two periods are given by the intertemporal utility function. Okay, here the utility function is look like this. Then with instantaneous utility function U such that first derivative of utility of consumption is C to the power minus gamma for some gamma greater than 0. You probably can recall in session we mentioned that gamma represents the risk aversion or risk tolerance parameter. Though these two terms are just the opposite, you can explain from either perspective. Okay, but in gamma we usually represent it is a kind of risk parameter. Okay, so if risk aversion is greater, the gamma tends to be higher. Gamma tends to be a higher number. Okay, if risk aversion is higher. Okay, so there is a way out that how can an individual express his risk tolerance in terms of gamma. You probably can recall that how important it is to think of the risk aversion and risk tolerance parameter of the private client or the institutional client of whom we are trying to craft investment policy statement. Okay, it is just kind of what we are talking about here is kind of some quantitative formulation of the risk tolerance. Okay, so there are some ways that you can express your risk tolerance in terms of some monetary number, in terms of some qualitative statement, and here you are representing your risk tolerance parameter in terms of some mathematical notation. Okay, so what is our problem here? Derive formulas for optimal savings or borrowing and optimal consumption. Okay, so you probably can recall that from the standard utility function, we have come up with this equation, what I just tried to show you in the very beginning of today's session, which we derived in previous class. Okay, alpha to the power, alpha multiplied by C naught. Can you recall? I just have showed you on the very beginning of today's session also, and I showed you how to get this from the first order utility function, first order condition of the utility function in previous session. Okay, so is it possible to replace this with in terms of income? You will stop me if I do wrong. It should be written, it can be written as future period income plus delta multiplied by 1 plus R. Okay, then alpha current income minus the amount of savings I am trying to make out of my current income. Okay, so if I just elaborate this in this way, delta plus delta R equal to alpha y naught minus alpha delta. Okay, now if I take the delta term in one side, okay, then the income terms in another side, it is already here, alpha y naught minus future period income y1. Okay, is it possible to take the delta common here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 1 plus R plus alpha, and we are keeping it as it is not possible to take any shorter form or simplifying this. Then can we express the delta? Delta means what?
Savings.
Or
Negative in this borrowing.
if delta is negative, what does
Borrowing.
it mean? Borrowing. Okay, and I think you are very confident that what is the amount of delta when we think of in terms of figure. We already have learned how to get the difference between the income and the consumption we are making in current period, so that it is possible to get the difference or to express the difference in terms of delta. Okay, 1 plus R plus alpha. Is it possible to express the delta in terms of this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you see this alpha is not directly available to our information. We just have, can you recall that we have assumed this 1 plus R 1 plus beta to the power 1 by gamma S alpha. Can you recall this assumption?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so remember this, but note that y naught and y1 1 plus R, this information might be readily available in your question. Okay, so what we have done here, we have just representing our savings in terms of this savings is not the, it may not be the actual savings. Remember what we are doing here. It is the optimal savings or borrowing. Why it is optimal? Because we have come up with this derivation from the first order condition, and from the first order condition you get the optimal amount, right? From your calculus class you have learned it very well. It's just kind of application. Okay, now you see that can we come up with the optimal consumption? You see the question, don't forget it. Derive formulas for optimal savings or borrowings and optimal consumption. We have come up with the optimal savings and we need to come up with the optimal consumption now. Okay. Okay. Can we write C naught in terms of Y naught minus delta? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you replace the delta by this, okay, you will get that the optimal consumption is in terms of income like this: 1 plus R multiplied by Y naught plus Y1, then 1 plus R plus alpha. So what you are doing, you are just expressing the optimal current consumption. So I think it is obviously possible for you that how can you write it for optimal future consumption. Okay, so that is the way how can you express this optimal in terms of the income and the risk-free rate, these terms. Okay, so I'm just showing you that how can you come up with the alpha. Okay, you see, repeat the calculation from question 1E. There is a mistake that it should be 2E. It should be 2E. Okay, not 1E. That means which 2E? This one. Okay, this is the question 2. This one is the question 2, and question 2 there is a E, and it question 3B is trying to say that you want to repeat the question 2E with this information. Okay, I'm just showing you that you can, it is possible for you to repeat the question 1E as I already have showed to you. I'm just showing you how can you come up with the alpha number if it is available to you. Okay, you see there is a gamma parameter available information. Gamma is equal to 2. Beta is equal to 0, or there is alternative that beta is equal to 0.25. Okay, so I'm just taking one scenario like this. If gamma is equal to how much? 2.
2.
Beta is equal to
0, sir.
0. Okay, can we recall what we have written for alpha? 1 plus risk-free rate divided by 1 plus beta to the power 1 by gamma to the power. Okay. Then we know that for risk-free rate, the information from the risk-free rate is not given here. It has not been given here. Why? Because it is referring the question 2E. In question 2, can you recall there was a risk-free rate of 5%? So we are using this 5%. Okay. 1 plus 0.05. Then what is about beta? 0. And what about gamma? 2. And you will get it 1.0247. Is it possible for you to get this calculation? Okay. Now, if it is possible, now just let me give you some hint for solving the optimal consumption in terms of numerical number. Okay. You already have got 1.0247. Okay. I'm just writing it down for you to show you that how can you come up with this number. Okay. You see that R is equal to 0.05. What we are doing, we are repeating the question 2E. Question 2E with the new information. So 1 plus 0.05. Can you recall what was the residual income for question 2E? Can you recall?
20,000.
Okay, I'm just trying to show you. Okay, here it is. 20,000 is current and 125,000 is future. Okay, what we are doing here, we are replacing this equation in terms of some information given. Okay, it should be 20,000. Then what is the Y1?
125,000.
125,000. Okay. What we are doing here, we are trying to come up with the optimal current consumption. 1 plus 0.05 plus what we have got about the alpha. We just have got it 1.0247. 1.0247. Okay. Now, if you just want your calculator to make this calculation, calculator will give you this value. Okay. Can you recall what we have written for C1 or future period optimal consumption? Alpha multiplied by C naught. So is it possible that if we write 1.0247 multiplied by 70,371.62, we can come up with the optimal future consumption? That will be look like 72,110. Okay, so you'll try by yourself about on these things what we have shown in today's session. Let me finish the recording